Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to being here. I'm
Yeah.
Ariel,
I'm Shya.
and there has to be an easier way.
An easier way to what?
Well, a lot of people wait until their lives get really, really stressed and it becomes so inconvenient that then they initiate looking
Change?
into change or looking for new possibilities.
Yeah. Well, nobody wants to be at fault.
No.
So if you can get rid of him or her by having them leave,
Or having
you can put up with stuff for a long time until they do. Or you could just say, it's been fun. Need to try something else.
Yeah, I think this particular episode came to mind for me about a year ago when we were fishing out at Lake of the Woods, and I realized that uh, I was casting a very heavy fly rod, and I was having to do a lot of what they call false casting, which means you cast and then you let out a little line, you cast and let out a little line. And eventually, when you get enough out to go to where you want to go, you let it drop in the water. And I thought, oh man, I'm getting so tired. There has to be an easier way. And
Uh-huh.
you said to me, well, there is an easier way if you want to hear it. And I was like, okay. And you'd been telling me for years that I could release line
On your back
on
on your
my back
back
cast.
cast.
In my mind, that was going to be difficult.
Uh-huh. Well, you see, in fly fishing, with a regular fly rod, you make a back cast in order to load the rod or put the rod under strain so it becomes like a spring.
A lever.
Yeah, and it throws the line forward on the forward cast. But you need to use a back cast to load the rod to do the forward cast. Well, you can throw line backwards as well as forwards.
Well, if
And
you don't get a visual of it, it's okay. Let's just say I've been doing this type of fishing for many
many years.
years, at least 30, maybe more. And I have never actuated this way of working. And I listened to what Shai had to say. Not only was it easier, I was more precise than I'd ever been. It took my skill set, which is actually quite remarkable, and exponentially shifted it. And I was close to having it be a problem. So it's really, I find it
You know what's so
interesting.
wonderful about all this?
What?
You listen to me.
I did.
Let's talk about listening. We don't
Okay.
normally talk about listening all the time anymore, but we should
We should.
because we find listening is such a normal thing for us that we don't realize that most people don't truly listen. They think about what's being said to either agree or disagree with what's being said, or think they already know what's being said, or give themselves reasons why it can't be done that way anyway. And so true listening is hearing what another person has to say from their point of view and really getting it, letting what they say come into you and seeing their point of view. Now, that's very unusual because most of us are afraid we're going to get conned.
Or don't tell me what to do, or no, I do. We're still 2 year olds trying to prove we can put on our shoe effectively, even if we're putting the shoe on the wrong foot.
Right.
And so it's really fun if you can let go of that part of yourself that has to be defended and listen.
Yes.
Let's take our first guest.
Yes.
That's a
That
great
was
place
very
to
good.
start.
That's very good. Thank you.
You're
That was
welcome.
excellent. Hi, Colleen.
Welcome to
Hi,
be here.
thank you.
But you
I'm
know,
calling, I'm zooming in from Manhattan, New York.
Awesome.
well, you know something. This new camera with this new screen
Yes.
has Colleen look beautiful.
Well, you always look beautiful, but now
They
you're
are
crystal clear.
crystal clear, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. I
So,
love this topic
yeah.
very much. When I read it, when I got the email with there has to be an easier way, it's like, oh man, I have that thought so often. It's like, and I feel like,
Well, look,
yes,
let me talk to you, my dear. I
okay.
know you. I know a bit of your background and history.
And I have a feeling we do finish each other's sentences, that what Shia has to say to you will not only be honed and specific for you, but really, really be something very honed and specific for a wide swath of our listeners.
Oh, great.
Remember it. Here. So the thing is this, you come from pioneer stock.
Yes.
Your family by wagon went across the country in the 1800s, and they settled in Montana. Now,
Yes.
Montana is a beautiful state
But very remote.
and very rugged. It's got great mountains and rivers, and so anybody who lived in Montana had to be a cowboy,
Correct.
and they had to be strong-willed, and they had to do it their way.
Yes.
And so that's what you were raised with.
Yes.
I know now you're a sophisticated lady, you live in Manhattan, you're cool, but as a kid, you were very tenacious in your righteousness.
That's right. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
What do you think about that?
I think you're very accurate. So true.
And so you want to make it work.
Plus,
Even if it isn't working, you want to make it work.
plus you have the religious download. Very, the Catholicism in your childhood was a really vital and important part. But along with the values came the idea that you could be doing something wrong. So if you're working on a spreadsheet, for instance, you might have the idea there should be an easier way, but over top of that is that, Colleen, is doing it wrong. So it's hard for you to see what the easier way may be because you often have that first
Well,
step of being hard on
you
yourself for how
judge
you're doing
yourself,
it. Yeah.
and your
Right.
demons cloud your vision. See, here's the other thing. If you use your eyes, you see what needs to be done.
Mm.
I'm not
Mhm.
telling you to think about it. I built this irrigation system for an above ground planter that I built last week or so. And I've kept improving on the irrigation system as I found materials that I had available to me to make it work better.
Mm.
How I would do it would be look and see what needs to be done, not think about it, look. And I'd see where one hose could be supplied with a more forceful stream of water if I used a half-inch delivery system rather than a quarter-inch. So I put in a half-inch system, and suddenly the whole thing is working brilliantly.
But
Mm.
that's very different than looking at how it's going. And some of the areas that were putting out water were really like minimalistic, and to go, oh man, I'm really no good at this, or oh look what I created, it's not so hot, or having a rather than seeing what is.
And what is needed. Because you see, when you see what is, then it becomes obvious what's needed.
And the commentary about you as the doer falls away.
It's irrelevant to the production of whatever you're engaged in.
Mm. Yes.
Way I've discovered that conversation is a space filler. It's a type of procrastination. So you don't have to look and see and actuate. It's like taking a break or a vacation in a really crummy place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, this is good news.
It is.
It is. Everything's good news.
You know,
Yeah.
the truth is, you can't do your life wrong.
Hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean you can't make it complex and complicated and difficult.
Hmm.
That's not wrong. It's
You
just,
do that, then you make it complex and complicated and difficult perfectly.
and it served a purpose. You see, what most people don't realize is those difficult things that come along are actually gifts in a way. And I don't mean it in a new age way of looking at it. I mean they're gifts because they allow you to avoid looking at what you don't want to look at.
Okay.
Get what I'm saying? It's much easier to get lost in being upset than deal with like some people I know are in a relationship that isn't working well and hasn't for forever. But
Right.
a boyfriend is better than nothing.
So then it's easier to keep things all really complex and complicated rather than look at
And see, hey,
that
I'm
didn't work.
wasting my time with this person. Maybe there's somebody. Look, I I am a divorcee.
Mhm.
Is that what they
Mhm.
call men who are divorced too?
I don't know. Why
I,
not?
I got a divorce after being with someone for 14 years. But in those 14 years, Ariel was growing up.
Mhm.
See? And
Yeah.
uh, after that relationship ended, I didn't meet Ariel for another few years, but we never would have met if I stayed in a relationship that didn't work for either party.
Right.
It isn't that it doesn't work for one, it doesn't work for both. Now, I don't know why I'm having this conversation.
Because it's not particular with you. We know
Right.
you and your husband, and you're having a great time, but
Right. So, but there
there
are so many people out there that
hang
we,
on to circumstances that are uncomfortable because it's what
something
they
is better
know.
than nothing,
Yeah.
even if the
Right.
something sucks,
Mhm.
not in a
Right.
good way.
So I have a question. I know you said you are inspired or you like hearing this because it's addressing things that you've been thinking. Was there a question you had for us or?
Yeah, I think our conversation really answered it. There's this project that I at work that um I need to I want it's something at work that I can't let's see how I can explain it. I am coming up with ways to make it easier by making a plan to give to our technical people so that it can be more automated. Because right now, this process of that I do is very manual, and it
Mhm.
takes a lot of time, and there's room for more errors in it because it's just very manual. And
Get that.
what's yeah.
So if
So
it's
what,
a repetitive thing and it can be automated, it minimizes the,
Well, it frees you up.
yeah.
yeah,
Computer
yeah.
can do it. You don't have to.
Mhm.
And this past Monday, I had a conversation with you guys at a Living Made Easy seminar. And at that moment, I was like complaining at work about work. And then after the seminar, I just had this idea. I have friends who are in the banking world who are technical, and I can run this proposal like by my friend Adam or, put it together and make sure that I don't know. I just got more ideas of what I can do to make things easier for myself.
Now, no two things can occupy you at the same time. And if you're busy working on what you think is a problem, you can't really see solutions that exist simultaneously because you are engaged in what you're engaged in. Ariel and I have frequently walked along the road along the Delaware River. It's a very lovely walk. And one day we saw a mailbox there. And it was this bright red mailbox, but when we looked closely, there was rust around the screws. So it's been there for a long time. We've walked it many, many times. But if we were engaged in conversation, which frequently we are, we wouldn't see it. So we looked at, wow, when did that get there? And then we realized that we've just been so busy conversing, we have lost sight of the newness of our environment.
Yeah.
I love what you say about the Living Made Easy 2-hour seminar. I know you spoke up, but primarily you listened, you were engaged, you let it go when we weren't talking about it. And the answer came to you in the background. That is one of the easier ways. You get so engaged, and then you realize you didn't have to do it all alone. You don't have to come up with all the answers. And by the way, one of the people who's really, really good at automating databases, who you may or may not have spoken to, is Madhu. Just saying, he's another banking expert in your environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. That's great.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I am too.
Yeah, thanks for being here today.
Really. Oh, I was really, it's just great to be with you. I'm so happy that I could arrange it to be here. So thanks.
Thank you. Hey, you want to hear about transformation?
Mm-hmm.
We've got one of our listeners about to tell you about what's happened in their life out of listening to being here.
Hi, my name is Heike and I live in Cologne, Germany. And I love attending seminars with Ariel and Shya and learning more about transformation because it makes my life so easy. It makes work easy. It makes everything fun. And without doing anything, just being me. And it's just so much fun, pleasure, joy, and fantastic to be in the seminars or at the podcast or in Costa Rica even. So I'm very, very happy about this community and about Ariel and Shya Kane.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our next Living Made Easy 2-hour virtual seminar is this Saturday and then the following Monday. So you can go on our website, transformationmadeeasy.com, and you can not only register, but you can look and see all of the upcoming Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Saturdays, whatever seminars, and you can register for that, which works for you. Upcoming weekends.
Oh, creativity and intuition, July 25 to 27.
In New York City.
In person. Woo! An in-person seminar in New York. We haven't done them since pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And that's about 5 years ago.
And then, more than actually, because it was March 2020. So,
yeah.
And then transformational time and project management in September, the 27th and 28th is being held virtually. So you're invited.
And, you know, we have Costa Rica opening 2026.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be in January of 2026. And a prerequisite to joining us there is that you attend a weekend seminar.
Okay, last but not least, are you getting our newsletter? If you're not, subscribe. It's inspiring, including we have an inspiring blog from one of the folks who attended coming out soon and attend our seminars coming out soon. There are just lots of really wonderful resources there. Again, everything is available at transformationmadeeasy.com.
I like the made easy part, you know, I really do. There was a time that transformation was really quite difficult. People were going to go to monasteries and endure long hours of meditation and trying to get better and working on themselves. And that was not easy. In fact, some of those people were Ariel and myself. We lived in a meditation center for a couple of years.
It has to be an easier way.
That's
Let's
right.
take our next guest, shall we? Welcome, Bianca. Tell people where you're zooming in from.
Hey guys, this is Bianca zooming in from Menden in Germany.
Nice.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Yes.
thank you. I just listened to the conversation you had with Colleen some minutes ago, and my mind is just blown up like pooh. So simple and genius. You said, Shaya, just have a look and see what has to be done. And it's not that I don't know what to do, but this is just, I feel so often I feel stuck with some topics.
Well,
And
you're stuck in thought.
yeah,
Isn't that you're stuck in what needs to be done? If you look, you'll see what needs to be done. What you may be stuck with is the I don't want to do it. Don't tell me what to do that most people have as a early program that they put together as a child, and it's been dominating their life as an adult.
oh yes. I can relate to that, yeah. So I wanted to come up with three topics I think I'm struggling with for many years. The first is finding love or a partner. The second is finances, also a classical one. And the third is my weight.
Okay, let's start with the first.
Hmm.
What if you have exactly what you want? See, you're a very independent lady.
Yes.
You don't like somebody telling you what to do. If you were in a relationship, you'd had to listen to a man telling you what to do. How would you like that?
Depends on what he has to say.
Well, then you're not listening.
You're getting second on this now, I can tell.
Yeah, you're right, Shaya. Yeah.
So, see, here's the thing. The idea of a relationship, if it's something you really want, then you go about having one.
Hmm.
It's an idea that that would be better than where you are, then it will be a normal thought process that most people have, that something in the future will be better than where they currently are.
Yes.
As if this moment of your life is imperfect somehow, rather than everything you've done right up until this moment of now has brought you to this moment of now. And if you don't have a love relationship, guess what? It looks like you don't want one because you can find out what you want by what you have. That's wisdom via Shaya's way of seeing life.
Yeah. I like it how you're seeing life.
You don't have to agree with me, but if you see it through that perspective, you see the truth of what you want, and then you can stop complaining to yourself that you don't have what you don't really want.
Mm. Yeah. I feel like that's so interesting that you're saying that. I think I understand it. And I think I'm trying to get a relationship, but yeah, I don't think,
Did it perfectly.
You're trying to get a relationship. Try and stand up. Everybody listening, try and stand up.
Oh, you
Wait,
stood up.
if you stood up, you're not trying, you're standing.
See, trying is always a condition that ends in failure. Have you noticed that? When you fail at something, you say, "But I tried.
Tried.
I
yeah.
tried really hard."
The other thing is, whilst this is not in particular a relating or relationship episode, if you take a look, if you say you try to have a relationship, you're missing a fundamental step. It's kind of like trying to harvest basil, but you forget to plant any.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
There's nurturing yourself, there's making the soil for growth, there's being here to interact with people so that every interaction, whether it's a barista who happens to be a female and not someone you want to date, is a date.
So that you're engaging with anybody who comes into your space.
Last night I made us a meal, and our bellies were a little funky. We really didn't want a lot, so we decided we were just going to have something very simple, some berries and a little bit of ice cream. And we had a whole range of different possibilities in our house, and I looked at it and I thought I can do it the way I normally do, which is, put a little scoop in a little bowl and add the berries on top. And I thought, I want to make it beautiful. So I did a little nest of blueberries and a little nest of raspberries. And then I sliced up, just a couple of strawberries, and I fanned them out, a little banana slices, and fanned those out, and just a couple of blackberries. And then I took the smallest little scoop of ice cream, but I put it in a wide bowl so that I could see everything and I could eat it with like purposeful taste rather than all together. And when Shia came in, because I was taking a little longer or for whatever reason, he's like, wow, that's beautiful. I was preparing a date for myself and for him. It was because it gave me pleasure rather than eat, which I suspect handles number 3 as well. Which is this weight. I find that if I just kind of glop it together and eat it without awareness, I tend to eat more and things I'm not really happy with.
I don't have a weight issue per se. I gain about 5 pounds or 2.5 kilos every once in a while, but then my weight stabilizes and I lose those 5 kilos. 2.5 kilos, 5 pounds. But I don't have a tension on losing weight, but if I just don't eat as much, I usually have 3 eggs for breakfast. Recently, I've been having 2 eggs for breakfast.
Shai's been making us the best omelets.
I once did a course as a participant, so we're talking 40 plus years ago. It was called something about men.
About men.
About men, or all about men, about men.
Something
like that. And as part of the course, you had to prepare a meal for 4 people and bring it to the course, but it would be prepare a meal as though you were preparing a meal for royalty.
Wow, okay.
So I did.
Some people brought takeout from Dunkin' Donuts.
Exactly.
But Shia not only made a beautiful meal, he put it in this hand-thrown pottery thing. He brought it was so gorgeous. And I remember I wanted to help him. He's like, nope, I have to do this all on my own.
And I was one of those people that won the top honors for my meal. Now, I didn't do it to win top honors. I prepared that meal as though I was preparing for a date. It was, this person or people are special to me. I am special. This is special. This is not a throwaway moment in my life. But it's interesting, Bianca, everything I do with that kind of precision, but not as a rule, as a function of being present. What happens is quality.
And also, as a side shoot is pleasure. It's pleasurable. I was talking earlier with Colleen about this above ground watering system, that
planter
that he made.
That's about 8 feet by about 3.5 feet. So it's pretty big.
It's big, but he's done everything with precision, and I can just see the pleasure he gets from all the aspects of it, and also looking at what was not working and what was next. There's something really rich in looking at what's next,
not as a problem, not as some place to get to, but as a moment of
so when you have
perfection.
this top 3 list,
What was the second one in there?
finances.
Oh, well, if you did the first 2, then finances would be taken care of.
Yeah. I do have something about finances.
One more thing about finances. Your finances in your mindset limit what's possible for you.
Okay.
Do you see that? You
Yeah.
say, you blame it on finances. Oh, I can't do that. I don't have enough money. That is not true.
It's one of 2 things. It's either code for I don't actually want to do that thing or buy that thing or have that thing, or it's a limitation you put on yourself as opposed to, aha,
I'm worth it.
I'm worth it. How do I go about creating this resource so that I can do X, have Y, whatever the thing may be?
Let me stop the action for a moment. See, you are this amazing being.
Thank you.
But you don't think so.
Yes.
Because in your thoughts, you pick on you as though you could, should be more, better, or different than you are. And with more, you could have less, as in more, less is better. So if you lose weight, it will be better. That's more of less. Okay?
Yes.
So your ideas of who you are and what you're capable of dictate the possibilities of your life. But my dear, you are a miracle. And I'm not shining you on. Look, there's only one being on this planet that has your DNA. You are incredibly special, given that there are 8 billion other or more other individuals on this planet.
That's really sweet. I have goosebumps.
Well, it's true. There's absolutely nothing wrong except your conversation about you with you. And you waste time in having that conversation about you need to be more, better, or different, because you are exactly perfect, exactly as you are.
I see this, as you're talking about, if we wind back to the conversation, the one that Bianca remarked upon when she first came, about looking and seeing what needs to be done next. I mean, it's so easy if you have a project or you want to make more money or you want to lose weight or whatever the deal is. If you have something, to back off and have a conversation with yourself about whether or not you like you, or whether or not how unfair your parents were, or in this climate the economy is, or the current political situations, or the world, or the climate. It's so easy to have a conversation about big things rather than take care of the little things in front of you, and everything else takes care of itself.
Well, what's interesting is this morning I looked out at this planter and I had all of these pieces of irrigation tubing that were scattered around it that were excessive, that were left over from my
creation.
My creation. And so I got a bucket and I went out and I picked all of that up. I brought it down the basement and I took all these pieces apart. Now, some of it I had to put in a vise and use pliers to pull them apart. And I did all of that and I put them back in a segmented box so everything is in order. And I took all the tubing and I put that in a box, and it's all now done.
Cool.
It was so much fun. And in my mind, I didn't want to do any of it.
I don't want to ever if it's possible, go back to that whole COVID reality where everything was shut down and all that. But I did learn something, many things there. First of all, here you are, you're talking to us through a camera on your computer. So if we're talking finances or feeling like we don't have enough, the first thing is to recognize how
You have a computer.
extremely wealthy we are. You know, in fact, you're wealthy enough that you have to be concerned about what you eat and how you eat and how that if you were really starving, it wouldn't be a conversation. So that's the first thing. But I know people can't see what's behind you, and we can't see what's behind all the listeners, but I discovered during COVID time how little I could spend in a month if I needed to. And I realized that so much of my spending, I know that my resources are different than a lot of people's, but it's so easy to add in things that you quote need when really it's things that you want.
Yeah.
I have this suspicion that you are far wealthier in all areas than your conversation allows for.
Yeah, you're right. Ah, that really feels good. Yeah. It's relaxing to hear that. It's true.
Nice. So nice to be with you today,
Yes.
Bianca. Really.
Thank you very much for that. That's exactly what I needed to hear.
Thanks for hitting some of the top things for a lot of people.
Yeah, really.
Finances, weight, and dating. That was really well done.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
You can share this podcast with your friends. You can even subscribe to it so it comes to you each week. Shout out to all our listeners who regularly listen and who have subscribed. We really honor all of you. You can find all our courses, the newsletter sign up link at transformationmadeeasy.com. Next week's episode
is Transformation Made Easy.
We'll be back next week. So come on back.
And don't miss
being
here.